So I keep downgrading my daily driver computer just to see how bad of a computer I can actually use and get my day-to-day tasks done.
Here's the test results for the Z4G4, the test results for the Z240, and the test results for the T1700.
All right, we are almost done the challenge, guys. We are hitting 2010. We are now over 15 years old with a Dell Optiplex 380. It came with a dual core, I think an E8400 processor. Today we got the Dell Optiplex 380. I've owned this computer for quite a few years now, and I've updated it. So it's got a surprise inside that we'll have to get to in a few minutes. But nice office computer, Intel Core 2 Duo. Originally had Windows 7. It looks like the Optiplex 380 is missing a couple rubber feet, and that just drives me nuts. So I'm gonna clean these up real quick and glue some rubber feet in place. All right, we got the new feet from the donor computer. Now we're gonna glue them in place and move on. That looks better. And it's not in the best shape. You saw us fix the feet earlier, and it's got a little scuff here on the front, and it's got the standard Dell DVD-RW. And the feet are solid. I can't even move this thing on these rubber feet. This thing weighs a ton. Coming around to the side here is not much to read home about. Just a standard metal painted side cover from Dell with the easy latch on top to release. And let's take a look at the back. And this is where these Optiplexes get a little bit weird in this generation, because if you notice, the motherboard is on the wrong side of the computer. So a standard ATX computer, the motherboard will be mounted on this side, and then the case cover would come off over here, and you would lay it down and the graphics card would come in this way. This thing's completely reversed. So you end up taking off the other side cover, and everything is reversed, and the motherboard is mounted on this side instead of this side. It's very unique. I don't know why they did this. It just really doesn't make sense to me. We're just gonna push this button here, and the whole thing's gonna pop right out. Way to go, Dell. Super easy designs on their cases. So tech support must love these things. They can come over here. They don't even need a screwdriver. They can pretty much change anything in the computer. Check the power supply on the 380. It looks like we have 255 watts. Nothing special, but enough to get the job done. There's our GeForce card that's gonna come out. We're gonna have our 2 hard drives down here. Oh boy, here's another issue. So we only have exactly 3 SATA ports. So this board does not have a 4th SATA port. So I'm gonna have to disconnect the DVD-RW just so I can plug in the SSD to put the operating system on. Now I could add a PCI support card that has SATA, but it's not needed. All right, I pulled the GPU out just to get it out of the way. And what is this thing, out of curiosity? Yes, an 8400 GS 256 DDR2. And here is the downside to this computer. It only has 2 DIMM slots for memory. And what do we have in here? We have, look at that. We have 4 gigabyte modules of PC3 10600. So at least it's gonna be running 8 gigabytes. So that's gonna help us right there. I thought we were at 4 gig. We're gonna have 8 gig in Windows 10. This is gonna be great. And this is a good step down from the T1700 that had 16 gigs of the same type of memory. It was a little faster. I think it was 12800. But let's take a look at this processor, and we're gonna show you how we've maxed out this motherboard. It was a waste of perfectly good thermal paste, but I wanted to show you this awesome processor. There it is. The Intel Core 2 Quad Q9650. Now this is a quad core 3 gig processor that goes in a motherboard that normally only has Core 2 Duos. So this is the best processor that you can buy for this motherboard support. So we have the updated Core 2 Quad Q9650 and the maxed out 8 gigs memory. This thing is gonna fly. New thermal paste installed, heatsink installed. Now let's put in the NVIDIA Quadro K2200. Now this is 4 gigabytes GDDR5. K2200 installed. So one of the big performance upgrades is an SSD, of course. The old spinning hard drives just don't load things as fast, and they take way longer to do Windows installations and updates and just load programs in general. So this thing has Windows 10, but it's on a regular HDD. So we're going to throw in our storage drives in this area, and then we're going to put an SSD for the operating system to make it much quicker. We get the hard drives out of the T1700. We have our 2 storage hard drives. Let's get them slapped into the Dell Optiplex 380. And again, Dell, why do you need a different hard drive caddy for every computer generation? So these ones are from the newer gens, and I thought they would work because they look very similar. But no, I had to find the older generation ones because the slide rails on the side are slightly wider on these ones, and they don't fit in the Optiplex 380. These ones are a little bit thinner. Why, Dell? Why? The 2 hard drives are installed. I just need to switch around the SATA configurations up here to make sure that our SSD is in the primary location. I grabbed an SSD from my pile. It looks like an SK Hynix 256 gig, and I have a SATA cable ready for it. We're going to tuck it up here below the DVD-RW, and I'll get Windows 10 installed. And surprisingly, this is an older computer, but we don't need any adapters. We don't need a dual SATA adapter, and we don't need a PCI Express adapter. It lives. I had to reseat the RAM. I was getting a little beep beep message on startup. Reseated the RAM because I haven't used this computer in probably like a year or 2. Everything works good. We are booting. It says SATA primary hard disk drive 0 failure. Oh no. But look what I'm saying. The side cover's off this computer, but it's the wrong side cover. Why doesn't the left side come off? Like, who designed this thing? What in the heck is going on here? We're seeing our 8 gigs of RAM, 2 4GB modules of DDR3, and here's our Core 2 Quad Q9650. What a beast. 12 megs of L2 cache. Looks like we have a bad SSD. I kept getting these errors like it couldn't install Windows on the drive. I kept trying to format and partition it. So I popped in a new SATA SSD, a Western Digital 256. The Western Digital SSD has worked, and I don't know about you guys, but Western Digital just never lets you down. SK Hynix, sorry about your luck, pal. All right, looks like all of our backup drives are being detected in Windows. That's a plus. Installing the K2200 graphics driver. All right, guys, so on this challenge, we're going to be testing the computers a little different than when you would normally see people testing things. We're going to do boot time to desktop from power off to in Windows, making it usable. We're going to test that. Then number 2, we're going to have USB file transfer duration. So I'm going to have the same movie file on a thumb drive, and I'm going to transfer it to the hard drive of each of the computers. Then the next one's a big one. It's a 4K video render, which is going to be tough. I use DaVinci Resolve, and I make YouTube videos on occasion. So we're going to have the same exact video file, and we're going to try to render it in 4K and see how long it takes. And then number 4, we have file download duration. So we're going to see how long it takes to download the same driver from the same website on each computer. And then we have the last one, which is my fun one, the average FPS in World of Warcraft Classic. All right, let's do the boot test, starting right now. Come on. All right, looking good. We're getting there. Come on.
34 seconds.
All right. Wow, that was quick. The Optiplex 380 and the T1700. I think the 1700 was faster, but that's pretty quick.
We're going to jump right into the USB file transfer here. These are the same 4 files that we copied on all the computers. And this one seems to be pretty similar across all 4 computers so far. Not much variation here. Going pretty quick for an old PC. Looks like 20 seconds we're going to end on that one. Next up, we got the 4K video render. And spoiler alert, this is a failed test. So the program was very laggy. It was tough to even get everything lined up and get ready to try and render. And I had a feeling it wasn't going to work, but I finally clicked the render button and sat around for 4 or 5 minutes, and it didn't even want to do it. Ended up having to hit the stop button and it failed. Now we're heading into the DaVinci Resolve download. This is a 2.8 gig zip file for the actual program DaVinci Resolve. And this is another one that just took a long time. I was surprised. If you look at previous results, they download much quicker than this computer. So I looked up the network card, and it looks like it's only going at about 10 megs per second, and it's quite a bit slower compared to the other computers. I was surprised at this one. Guess it makes sense. Ended up finishing, geez, wow, 5 minutes and 28 seconds. That's pretty slow. Now for my favorite part of the test, the World of Warcraft test for average FPS. Now this one bounced around quite a bit. I actually had to take a flight path over to Westfall and then make my way over to Ravenhill Cemetery. I'm playing on my Warlock. I think we're level 22 right now. But we got up to 140 frames in some areas, and then we had 90 frames in other areas. And I was going to say the average was about 90, but then once we got to Ravenhill, it kind of bounced around 110 to 100 more. So we're going to say that the average on this one is 100. But I do want to note that the program was loading pretty slow. Like when I tried to log in to WoW, just clicking the login button, it kind of took an extra 15 or 20 seconds just to log in through the loading screen. So that's one thing to note. But it is playing pretty good. No complaints on the gameplay here. You really only need about 60 frames to play this game, so almost any computer is going to play it, I think. But that's enough yapping for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the gameplay here. We'll get to the results at the end here. That's it for this video, guys. Thanks again for watching. Here are the test results for this video, Part 4, Optiplex 380. Not too bad. And here is a pic of the prior test results, if that helps you out a little bit.